Hey MTG fans, welcome to another episode of All's Fair in Love and Lore. I'm feeling a little draconic this week, so today's episode is all about one of the most feral and brutal dragons of Magic the Gathering, Kolaghan. Kolaghan is one of the 5 elder dragons of Tarkir, a plane inspired by the history and cultures of Eastern and Central Asia. But before we dive into Kolaghan, let's take a quick side quest for some background info on Tarkir. Tarkir was a half-born plane that was brought to life by Ugin after his arrival sometime after his rebirth on the meditation plane. Ugin was ultimately a part of Tarkir's being, forming the geoscape, the living beings, and birthing its unique Draco-meteorological ecosystem. That was a mouthful. Anyway, the dragons of Tarkir were born from Ugin's elemental storms, known as dragon tempests, which spawned different broods of dragons in accordance to terrain. So, fun fact, Tarkir has 2 different timelines. In the year 4559 AR of the original timeline, dragons were already extinct, sparking planeswalker Sarkhan Vol's deep fascination with them. The dragons had been hunted to extinction long before Sarkhan's era. Roughly 1,280 years earlier, the clans were engaged in a desperate war for survival against the dragons. The war shifted dramatically when Nicol Bolas confronted and killed his twin brother Ugin. With Ugin's death, the elemental storms that had birthed the dragon ceased, and no new dragons emerged. This change allowed the clan's warriors to ultimately eradicate the dragons. In the centuries that followed, the 5 warrior clans asserted their dominance over Tarkir, fiercely battling for control of every piece of territory. While some Khans were satisfied with ruling their own lands, others aspired to conquer all of Tarkir. The clans had also adopted ancient draconic magic to enhance their strength and defeat their enemies. But there's an alternate timeline. A remnant of Ugin's spirit enabled Sarkhan to travel back in time to prevent Ugin's death during his duel with Nicol Bolas. Upon traveling back, Sarkhan saved Ugin, who was then preserved in a hedron cocoon to recover his strength. During this period, the Dragon Tempest intensified, resulting in a dramatic increase in both the number and power of dragons. This culminated in an event known as the Khan Fall, where the dragons ultimately overran the clans. In the aftermath, the title of Khan was abolished among all clans, and 5 dragon lords, along with their broods, rose to dominate the humanoid races. They formed new clans from the remnants of the old ones, though knowledge of the original clans persisted in the new timeline. These new clans continued to clash over territorial disputes. Okay, back to Kolaghan. First of all, she's absolutely ginormous. She's covered in spines and has 4 massive feathered wings. Not to mention, she breathes lightning. Terrifying and monstrous, she enjoys the hunt and the kill more than the resulting. Unlike the other dragons, Kolaghan does not appear to speak the draconic language. She only communicates in lightning flashes and violence. I think she's my spirit animal. Kolaghan's brood emerged from Ugin's Tempest with blazing speed and the ability to breathe lightning, and they made their home in Tarkir's hills and steppes. In the original timeline I talked about earlier, Kolaghan and her brood were admired by the Mardu Horde, one of the 5 clans of Tarkir, for their remarkable speed. But unfortunately, after Ugin's death, they lost their battle against the clans of Tarkir. No new brood was created, and all of the dragons eventually died out. In this timeline, Kolaghan never reached Elder status. She tragically smashed against a cliff at Wingthrone, and her skull ended up being used as the throne of the Mardu Khan. In the alternate timeline, after Ugin was saved by Sarkhan Vol, the brood thrived but chose not to tyrannically rule over their subjects. Instead, they took to the skies, flying freely across the plains and striking down enemies as they pleased. The Dragon Lord Kolaghan emerged as a formidable leader, employing violence, cruelty, and her signature unpredictability to enforce control over the clan. Under her rule, the once renowned Mardu name faded into obscurity, replaced by the infamous clan Kolaghan. Rarely showing interest in anything other than asserting dominance, the Dragon Lord leaves the clan to follow other dragons from her brood spawned by the storms. The reckless Kolaghan sees whatever they desire, including power and supremacy within the clan. Among them, the formidable Warkites stand out, massive, robust, and battle-hardened. Those who are not dragons but belong to the clan are often afflicted by a potent bloodlust known as the Crave. Cannibalism is not uncommon, with blood chin orcs and humans actively seeking humanoid flesh. The foul-tongued shamans of the Kolaghan wield dark magic, twisting the draconic language of Ugin into something sinister. In stark contrast to the Mardu, the Kolaghan adhere to no code of honor. Their sole ambition is to dismantle the other clans and spread chaos wherever they tread. They yearn for freedom, shunning civilization, boundaries, and any semblance of honor or law. But before we talk magic cards, I want to connect some dots for you. You've heard of the feisty little goblin Vial Smasher, right? In Tarkir's original timeline, Vial Smasher actually used to go by Yazamin Ankleshank, or Ankleshanker, and was friends with Sark and Vol and also a member of the Mardu Horde. After the new timeline started, she began going by Vial Smasher, and she belongs to the Kolaghan clan. And now she's made her way to Thunder Junction through an Omen Path, where she became a member of Akel's Hellspurs. Okay, as promised, here are some cards that represent our belovedly terrifying Kolaghan. Kolaghan, the Storm's Fury, and Dragon Lord Kolaghan. Other associated cards include Kolaghan Aspirant, Kolaghan Forerunners, Kolaghan Monument, Kolaghan Skirmisher, Kolaghan Stormsinger, Kolaghan Warmonger, and Kolaghan's Command. Kolaghan is also seen depicted in Dragon Throne of Tarkir and in the Dragons of Tarkir's printing of Duress. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode about Kolaghan with a splash of Tarkir history. If you have any special requests for characters, places, or events in MTG history, leave a comment. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and as always, thanks for hanging out with me.